Yo, what's up? And welcome to our weekly stream. One of the final Wednesday streams, as you can see in the title, because next week onwards, woo, we're about to start cohort 7. We're going to embark together on this transformative journey over a duration of 3 months that sets you up for success. Excited for that. But as part of that, of course, we have one of our core sessions for cohort members that happen at this time exactly on Wednesdays. So unfortunately, next week onwards, we're not going to be doing these Wednesday streams. But yes, share FigJam link. I know exactly what you're talking about, bro. The FigJam link for the Spatial Pro stream that we did. We have our video on that coming out this week, and we're going to share it with you in that video. So keep an eye out. Keep an eye out for that. Yo, what's up, everyone? What's up? Shout outs to all of you. Shout outs to literally anybody who's dropped a chat here. Let's go. Let's go. So, as we get started today, today is a chill stream. So, number one, grab your favorite beverage. This right here, you might be thinking, is this really Abhinav's favorite beverage? And yes, it is. I love Pepsi Max Lime. Literally the best fizzy drink there is. Ooh. Oh, fuck. Splash some on my screen. What's that? Cheers, guys. Cheers. Cheers to, a really nice streaming season that we're kind of wrapping up today. Cheers to all of you who are going to be joining us, who've committed to being a part of our... Cheers to you who've committed to taking a part in our cohorts. And you know what? I don't have any need to market, but I'm just excited to see you all because the real shit is about to begin this weekend. So cheers to you guys. Very controversial opinion, it seems like, right? Guys, I understand Coke is the most widely available, but let's face it, Pepsi is clearly superior. And I'm not even doing this for like some kind of drama. Pepsi is clearly superior, right? I don't know if you've ever looked up PepsiCo corporate chart. Pepsi is a way bigger company. PepsiCo, Pepsi is one of their products. Coca-Cola is their main product. Pepsi is a huge company. Pepsi is clearly winning, right? And in general, I love Pepsi. So I disagree with this. Pepsi Max, clearly greater. And Pepsi Max Lime, even greater. Only problem is you don't get this that often, right? It's a little hard to find. Not every place carries this. So, today's scene, we don't really have a today is going to be an open stream. We don't really have a preset topic that we're going to be talking about. But in general, there's a bunch of things I've been thinking about. And so I want to share some of these thoughts with you. The general theme I've been thinking about is, are you guys ready to just jump into it? What's up, gang? Grab a beverage because today we're going to be talking about some deep shit. All right? We're going to be talking about some deep shit. Where do I even start? Number one, it seems like, let me talk personal journey first, okay? To set the context. I've been running running 10K designers for about 3 years now. And we've done about 6 cohorts with the 7th one about to start, right? And I'm not even counting things like Bro, BX, experiments, YouTube. We've done 6 cohorts, right? And a big part of these cohorts has been, it's not a course, right? And again, by the way, this is not marketing what I'm about to tell you because number one, you cannot enroll anymore, right? Cohort applications are closed. The next cohort is probably going to be announced by the end of the year. So probably somewhere around November or December is when we announce it. And Jan is probably when we start cohort 8, right? That's still far out. So this is not marketing, just sharing my personal story with you. One thing that I realized is when you are running something like this, right? Let's talk about me. Let's talk about my individual experience. From the very beginning, I have treated this as a startup. So I'm going to run this because I want autonomy over something. I've always believed that designers are some of the most OP people, the most overpowered people who have an insane advantage if only they knew how to apply themselves, if only they were comfortable taking on bigger risks, bigger challenges, right? I've always believed that. But of course, I can't talk about that unless I validate it myself, right? So, right from the beginning, right? I've been designing for about 10 plus years now, like slightly over 10 years. And right from the beginning, I could tell that whoever is hiring me, people who are hiring designers, are clearly getting a lot of value, right? So some of my early decisions on clients that I want to work with, projects that I want to work on, right? There was a strong financial motive, number one, because I was starting out in my career. I really wanted to prove the financial side of things to myself. But then at the same time, it was not financial short term. It was always financial long term thinking, which is I want this project to set me up for even crazier projects ahead, right? Linger on that for a sec. As a designer, I will not do projects if you are hiring me just to check a box, right? If you are hiring me because हाँ designer की ज़रूरत है in the same way that accountant, CA, मतलब all these are very important roles of course, but just making a point, right? Design की ज़रूरत है, but हाँ हमारे लिए एक तो cost है. हमारे लिए design value नहीं है, cost है. There are companies like that who look at design purely as a cost, like करना है इसलिए हम कर रहे हैं. But the best companies look at it design as a value, which is if we are able to get this right, everything else improves. Our company goes skyrockets because of good design, because of people who are clear thinkers, who are able to look at the world as it is, who are able to look at reality how it is, and understand what it means to build products. Products that are not just used by 5, 10 people, that are used by hundreds of people that end up changing the course of society, civilization, and countries at scale. That level, not every company that is hiring a designer even thinks that big. And if you want to just remember this, I'll put it across this way. To a lot of companies, design is a cost. कि भाई हमें इंस्टाग्राम पे डालना है, ये करना है, वो करना है, वेबसाइट बनानी है. ठीक है भाई, ले आओ किसी को फोटोशॉप यूज़ करता है, फिग्मा यूज़ करता है, करे. Right? And what happens when it's a cost? They don't care about growth. They're like, yeah, you're here because we're paying you, right? What's the problem? When they look at you as a cost, they don't see you as somebody who actually has a lot of voice in that company because you are literally a drain. It's the equivalent of, sales guys being assholes because they know they're bringing money to the table, right? They're literally bringing value, right? But really, really industry defining companies that grow, companies that become household names, companies that create value for the world, companies that change individual people's lives by making their lives easier, making it better, helping them earn more money, helping them have better health, have better relationships, who are able to do that at scale. They do not see design as a cost. They see design as value, which is we don't want somebody to just do the job. We want somebody to change shit up. We want somebody who creates value and is not just here to make, So, guys, I'm actually waiting for my camera to charge. I don't know what just happened. And I don't even know why my second camera is not working. Went a little too hard. But let's just browse, guys. Give this 2 minutes, and I'll continue what I was saying, right? Why do you think I shared this today? We're gonna go audio only mode for a bit, okay? Why did I share this today? I want you to understand that if you're on the internet today, you cannot help but be affected by psyops. What are psyops? Psychic operations. I don't think it's a big shock, or I don't think this is the first time you're hearing this, but social media. I don't want to. I really want my camera back, bro. I don't like audio mode. The point is, if you're on the internet today, you are subjected to psyops of every single sort, right? You open your page, you refresh. What do you see? What do you see on your feed? You see people with agendas. You see people who are sometimes genuinely sharing what they like, but a lot of times they are creating content for you to be engaged in, right? A lot of times they are trying to get a reaction out of you. A lot of times it's psyops where they want to use you as the nameless army that fights for a cause online. Ignore all such psyops, right? The right way to use the internet. Now, of course, the internet, there is no right way of using it. But if you're here, if you're watching this, clearly we align on one thing, which is the right way to use the internet is not to be a pure consumer. It's to create things for other people to use. It's to actually make an impact on the world in the same way that a big company or a good company seeks to create value through products, through their businesses, through their operations. You as an individual, you want to think about where are you creating value. And let's just switch back here for a sec. Right, let's bring back our camera. Okay, guys, we're back. I don't know if it's definitely my battery. That was my bad. But the point I was making, and I sat down for a sec, so let me just get my standing desk up. The point I was trying to make, and before I got cut off and lost the flow, is that early in your career, the goal is, let me figure out what my game is. Later in your career, your game, I believe your game should be to win. Once you found your game, you have to play the game and win it, right? Now, of course, this is getting into a little motivational territory, which is not where I want to go. I don't want to simply motivate you guys or whatever here. We're here to chill. But let's answer some questions. The reason I've been thinking about all of this stuff today, or recently, is that once a lot of shit is figured out in your life, you realize how empty it is. You realize how a lot of things that when you were younger, you're like, bro, I'm going to do that. I'm going to do this. I don't know where I'm going with this. I actually don't want to tell you all this, but as you grow in the later stages of your career, you realize, what is this all for? What am I doing? Because the reason I got into all of this career stuff, work karna hai, ye karna hai, at a broad level, was because I wanted to figure out what my game was. All of school, all of college, most of corporate life, you are in a certain environment that has been created, and you're kind of playing this game. Nothing wrong with that, by the way, right? That's how you make money. That's how you create value. That's how you meet other people. But eventually you reach a point where you're like, what's the purpose of all this? I can keep playing this game and clearly I'm getting better. Clearly I'm getting better at this game. Which means at some point, I know that I'm comfortable coasting in some ways in a particular game. I know that the motivation of fear and fear of fucking up, fear of what if this goes wrong, fear of, oh my God, I need to make money. Bro, just get good at what you do and all those fears go away. You realize, dude, there's no real scarcity here. I have the skills, and there are companies that are looking for people with these skills. I have confidence that anything new, I will be able to figure it out. And most companies that are doing crazy stuff, that's the kind of people who are there, anyways. People who look at something, who look at a problem and say, oh, the nature of problems are that they are solvable. Let's figure out, given our constraints, given how seriously we care about this, what solution should we arrive at? And you do this across product, tech, design, or whatever, right? Given it's a startup context, but in general. And so, once your motivation stops being fear, you need to replace that out with intrinsic motivation as soon as possible. And that's something that really took me a lot of time. I'll be very honest with this, which is maybe for the first 5 years of my career, I was motivated by money. And I don't mean that as in I'm going to take short term decisions. I still want my long term projects. I want every project to open doors for bigger projects, right? So taking decisions that way. But at the same time, if you're not going to pay me, I'm going to consider that as a variable, right? So the need to have enough money is typically what drives early stage, right? And I don't know this for general population, at least for me. But for once you reach beyond a certain point, and this can happen way earlier in your career, by the way, it happened a little late for me, which was even after I had the money, right? I was still operating in my old way of scarcity in a little way. Scarcity in the sense that I have to keep this going. Otherwise, if the music stops, what happens? And I had a face off with the reality about a year or two ago, where I found out what happens when the music stops. When you're winning, when you're laughing, when you're enjoying, when you're sharing the great things you're up to, the world is laughing with you. When you're celebrating, the world is celebrating with you. But when you're down, you're all alone. The only people you have, in a lot of cases, is yourself. Of course, you have your family. Of course, you have your friends. But in the end, your best friends, right? The people who believe in you the most, they know that the best thing to do is give you distance, because they, in fact, believe in your abilities and they're like, we're going to keep hands off. When you're celebrating, the world celebrates with you. When things are down, you're down by yourself. And I found out what happens when the music stops. And I came face to face with that reality where I realized nothing happens. Where I realized that else, right? And I was trying to force myself to care about the money or whatever. It just didn't work out. And that brings me to my point, another point here. When you're down alone. And you're the only one who brings yourself out. And you need to go through that. But it makes you realize that if the world is this way, nothing is, right? This was also the time when I got a little bit serious about figuring out, let's just say, I don't want to say spirituality and shit, not that way, but let's just say figuring out, like, let's just say I want to be on another level, right? So I went deep down that hole. How do I literally ascend, right? Let me just put it in very vague terms. I was like, how do I ascend? And the thing that I just realized, if the world is this way, everybody celebrates when you're celebrating. When you're down alone. What that means is failure doesn't matter, because most people will forget about it. Most people that really believe in you will look at your failures and be like, oh, okay, big deal. I'm sure this guy will figure it out. He's a smart guy. Even if you don't really believe that, everybody will really, all your friends, they look at you and they're like, he's a smart guy. He'll figure it out. A smart girl, she'll figure it out. So, if so failures are forgotten so easily. But failures on a personal level are the thing that weighs you down, that stops you from trying again, that stops you from going for a bigger play, which might like really, the negative thing might really pull you down, like take you down, break your momentum, your bank balance, whatever. But guys, in the end, nobody remembers our failures. It's just, how crazy is that? Anybody you look at, like you look at Elon Musk, people are what are you going to say? You're going to say Tesla, SpaceX. You're not going to talk about the shit that he tried that failed, right? Why? Because nobody remembers it. So think about how freeing that is as a perspective, which is nobody cares about your failures. When you're down alone. The positive side of that is that literally nobody cares. Nobody remembers. All you're remembered for are the things, other things you did that worked out, that won. And here's another just logical reason for this. Most people do not maintain a big file of you as a person, right? Most, even within your life, all the people you know, all you know is what you remember most is what you talked about last, or what you remember last about them. You don't really actively remember what they were like 1 year ago, 2 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, unless you really try to think. But on an everyday basis, you're playing your game. People are playing their game. What they think about is your last success, right? So what it came down to is, okay, if the motivation is not survival, if the motivation is not pure survival, then the motivation needs to be to win. And I'll tell you what, I shied away from this for a while, is what I realized. I knew I was winning, but I never was like, can I win even harder, right? Because at some level, I'm a little bit of a calm guy. I'm like, this is going well, I'm going to keep going, right? And in general, I also realized I was comparing myself to the wrong people. Like, I was like, I'm doing well, but negative motivation doesn't work on me. Let me just say that. I am not motivated by, oh fuck bhai karna hai. I am motivated by, fuck bhai kya kar sakte hain. You get what I mean? Stick versus carrot. What drives you? Is it the carrot? The motivation of, wow, what could happen? Or is it the stick of, oh fuck bro, what could happen? Positive reinforcement, negative reinforcement. And I realized this negative reinforcement of being like, fuck, I need to do this, and for this reason, that reason, badi baat, like, oh bro, let's do this, let's be a winner, whatever. It didn't work on me because it was always a negative reinforcement, right? Think about even college with entrance exams and shit. I want to be away from entrance exams as possible once I'm done with them. I don't want to think about it. I don't think it's worth spending even a minute thinking about my goddamn physics, chemistry, and maths textbooks. Not even a minute. But then one way I realized that it fucked me up was that the best thing about competitive exams is that it's a game you can play which has a defined outcome, and it's at a global level. Country level. You crack it, you win, right? I don't know if you guys saw the recent Gaurav Munjal episodes. I think Nikhil Kamath ke podcast pe. Not even going to talk about that. It was good. Gaurav's parts were good though. But he had another episode with Ken. And of course, Gaurav, I worked for an academy. I reported to him. So I know him. I know his style of working at a very deep level. But the best thing about entrance exams is that, like, his perspective of it is that it's a tournament that you're playing that has an outsized impact at the end. Right now, without getting too much into that, as I said, I don't like thinking about that stuff. The competitive spirit, I always ran away from that competitive spirit because I was like, I'm playing my own game. All that matters is my own progress compared to yesterday, compared to last month. But that is not enough if you want to like do crazy shit, because that runs out at a while. You're like, I'm doing good enough. Like this is, I never imagined I would be here. And you will reach that, some of you here, you've been a designer for 2 years, but when you're a designer for 10 years, you're going to be faced with this kind of realization of what have I done to justify my 10 years of existence as a designer? What have I done? Like, do I really, 10 years, do I have something to show for it that um, isn't pretty much equivalent to somebody who just started right now? Somebody who's been 2 years, but they just chose only to work on crazy stuff. Versus in 10 years, I worked on a couple of crazy stuff, right? Imagine if you're thinking that way. And so when you reach that mark, of course, it's not a time mark, right? It can happen to you way earlier. And you don't necessarily need to do it at the 10-year mark. But I'm just giving you that because that's a very clear way to think about it. You realize that, at the 10-year mark, if you're 10 years into a career, any career, design, development, whatever it might be, 10 years in a career, if you've actually been working, like, bro, that's no joke. There's no joke. 10 years, you do anything, you're going to get good at it. Unless you worked at really shit companies where you were only a cost to them, in which case they did not give a fuck about your growth. And in which case, somebody with a year or two of experience is going to eat your lunch. Right? That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about if you've been 10 years going hard at any career, you're going to be good. And at that point, you have to face this decision where, at this point, I have a very clear shot at becoming the number one person in the world for this particular thing. You have a very clear shot at it. I will be, like, I'm saying number one, maybe that's a little, I mean that very literally, number one in your field. But of course, at a broader, logical, rational way, you can think about it as literally top 0.1% of your field. By 10 years, you have this realization that I'm already in the top 2%, 1%, and I can go 0.0001%, and that's what I mean, literally number one in your field. You have a very, very clear shot at it. And at this point, you have to realize that the only way you are not going to go for that is because you chose not to go for it. And at that point, you're faced with this decision. And the easy thing to do at that point is to go for something else. Is to be like, let me try something new. Oh, you fall for a meme like, oh, reinvent yourself, bros. No, guys, if you spend 10 years on something, you are 10 years ahead of everybody else. That's a lead that you have in whatever. It's not a race or whatever, right? But that's a lead that you have. You cannot, 10 years into the game, be like, let me start a new game at this point. And again, I'm of course exaggerating. If you know the game is not right for you, then you should definitely switch, right? 10 years, no big deal at that point. At that point, you are also at your peak performance, right? So you will be able to switch careers if you wanted. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm saying you found what you love and you did it for 10 years. And now you realize you have a clear shot at being number one in the world at that game. And the only thing stopping you is yourself. That's a hard look at reality. Because till that point, when we were struggling for survival, to be good enough, at that point we were not thinking about stuff like this. Right? Yeah, it's a good to have. But once you're past that, you're going to realize how do I play big? How do I create impact? How do I create disproportionate impact in the world? If you are good, bro, the world is waiting for you. You realize what I mean by that? If you are good, the world is looking at you with all its problems and saying, please apply it. Please apply it. Bring it. Yes, do it, do it, do it. If you're good, the world is literally waiting to take benefit of it and become better as a result. If you're good and you go away from the world and you don't think about how do I give back, at 10 years, in the first couple of years of your career, you're not really thinking about giving back. You're thinking about accumulating. Fuck, bhai, I have to build my own. But at 5 years in, 10 years in, you're thinking about, dude, I actually have enough for myself. I need to now figure out how do I give back, because if I don't, then I'm going to continue down this path that has no meaning for me. And here's the thing, right? Imposter syndrome and self-doubt, it's a symptom of being early. It's just a symptom of being early, right? Imposter syndrome and self-doubt, I'm not saying it's not real. It's just that you're early and that's normal. Live with it. But that's going to go away at some point. And that's what I'm trying to just, that's what I'm giving you my perspective here. And at that point, you are like, dude, if I am really good, right? Here's the thing. Every single one of us believes we're special, right? Right? I'm not wrong in saying that. When you were growing up, didn't you think I'm going to do the best stuff? That the world is eventually going to realize that I'm special? A lot of time, good parenting, a lot of it is giving you that sometimes delusional, but confidence that yes, I will do this because I can do it, because I was meant to do it. But here's the thing. If you're really that good, really that good, what do you have to show for it? What do you have to show for it? And coming back to my earlier point, negative reinforcement does not work for me, by the way. Right? So if somebody told me, what do you have to show for it? I'll be like, bro, chill, bro. I'm living an awesome life. Like, chill. Like, I'm not that maramari mein. I live my life. I enjoy. I drink my fucking, Pepsi Maxes. I'm not really negative. I'm not really motivated by fear and all this shit. I live a good life. I'm good. But when I say that to myself, I know that from a holistic perspective, your spiritual beliefs, your supernatural belief in God, in the world, in the universe, from that perspective, I know that I'm enough. I know that pretty much the minute I am done with the world, so to say, I'm going to just like, fuck, I just dropped this, guys. The minute I'm done with the world, I'm just going to be like, okay, done. Let's go back here. And you know what when I say go back here, I mean go back to source. I know when my game here is done, I'm going to go back to source, bro. That's chill, right? So for me, that is totally solved. In fact, if you see our stream that we did from the Alps, I even showed you the book. That book, by the way, has had an outsized impact on me. Daniel Ingram's book, Core Teachings of the Buddha. Not Buddhism, but Core Teachings of the Buddha. Anyway, not the point though. But you realize that, bro, from that perspective, it's enough. But from the world perspective, this material world that we live in, it's more rewarding to be an active player. It's more rewarding when you can clearly see that the work you do changes people's lives, even if it's in a small way. It's more rewarding when you build something up and now you get that compound interest of momentum, progress, right? Whether that's network effects or you becoming so good and streamlined at the thing you do. And you realize, as long as I'm here playing this game, can I max engage? Can I just not, like, am I playing GTA, but I'm just like, just in a daze, just like driving around? Or am I actually playing? And that's your realization with life. Am I actually playing? Am I actually trying to be ranked number one in this game? Not compared to other people, negative reinforcement, but for myself, positive, for all the things that was possible. Not from a perspective of scarcity, like, oh, bro, I'm going to do it because I don't have it. I have everything. What do I choose to do with that abundance? How do I spread it around? How do I create artifacts in the world that stand as a reminder that, yes, you did it. You did it. I need to go get a tissue, guys. I literally dropped my Coke on my table. Give me a sec, okay? We're gonna do chats. I was in the zone, but we're gonna do chats. Let me quickly get a tissue and then we continue, okay? So give me like 30 seconds. And you know what? I can't talk to my parents about this. I can't. You would imagine for something like this, you can just talk to the older generation, right? You can just ask them, hey, what should I do? Like, I'm thinking about all this. And I'm not to say that, I'm not saying that they're dumb or anything. I'm not discrediting the older generation. They have a lot of learnings, but I can't talk to them because they did not grow up in a world where tech existed. And my whole game is tech. My whole game is using tech to change the world. And very specifically using design in tech to change the world. So I can't talk to the older generation because they've not lived through a moment in time like this one. And, in general, though, they will resonate. They will agree with you. That's the thing, right? If you ask them, oh, you know what? You tell them this. Oh, you know what? I'm 30 now. And I've realized that I have everything. Roughly, my needs are covered. And now I want to figure out how do I help the world. Shabash beta, shabash. They'll love you for it. Shabash beta, right? Oh wow, that's so nice to hear that. Karte raho, jeete raho. But it doesn't go beyond that, right? It's normal though, it's relatable. And they'll say that, at this point, you're thinking about like thinking about family. That's a way of saying I'm going to give back to the world, right? You're creating a new life or whatever. You're going into family life and all that. Right? Brahmachari to, what is it? Brahmachari to this thing to Vanprasth, whatever. But they cannot help you. Because I'll tell you this, to most of our parents, we've already won. So they're not really thinking. Here's the thing about our parents. They're not, when we were younger, we thought that they were trying to help us reach the ceiling, right? Crazy heights. But once you are out of college and you start working and you start making money, and a couple of years in, you realize that this whole time, your parents were not really trying to help you hit the ceiling. They were actually trying to make sure you're above floor and way above floor. Right? And what I mean by that is, to you, they've already won because you are above the floor to them in some ways, right? They're like, you didn't fuck up. You have something going on. You have friends. The rest of it you figure out, bro. Right? So they're not nobody cares about you reaching your ceiling. They do care about you not falling below floor, right? But nobody cares about you reaching ceiling. And that's the hard realization. That if you want to do something crazy in life, you have to make a choice to do it. Because it doesn't happen otherwise. And here's the thing. When I say it doesn't happen otherwise, it does happen eventually if you are off that mindset, right? I don't, like me being where I am right now, I think about, could I have been this way earlier? Wouldn't it have saved me a lot of grief if I could have just been this way at 22, 24, right? Now I'm 30. But I wish I was at this stage earlier, but I don't actually wish that because I know it needed this much time to get here. I know how much shit of my own I had to go through, right? How many things I had to like remove, how much of a model of the world I had to create to finally be like, here I am at peak performance. That's what I was kidding. Yeah, look at this. Fucking Coke on my table. I said Coke. There's no Coke on my table. There's Pepsi Max on my table. Let's look at some chats. Once you get a job, they're like, "Bus ho gaya sab sahi." Exactly. Like I thought like all of us thought our parents who wanted us to be like fucking president or something, right? Like IIT के लिए पढ़ो, UPSC पढ़ो, ये वो. But all they wanted was us to be above floor. The rest of it is anyway to us to figure out. And here's the thing. Sanjana says for females, once you're above the floor, they get you married. True, right? And not true for females, but in general, right? To say this advice is always, why don't you follow the standard paths that exist? My brother in Christ, the standard paths that exist do not exist anymore. The standard paths that existed in a time that does not exist anymore. Those standard paths were of the past. Those standard paths are now dead ends. The whole alpha, the whole game is in the new paths. But it's not your job to tell me that, mom or parents. And the best advice you can give me is just don't fall below floor, right? That's a good reminder parents give us. That don't let it get bad. That's a very strong reminder, by the way. That's a very positive thing. Just don't let it get bad. Because as long as you don't let it get bad, you're in a good state. And a good state means you'll figure it out. Right? You have the strength, you have the willpower to figure it out if you're in a good state. So don't let it go bad. That's what parents say. But if you want to go beyond the standard paths, how do we do it? I know exactly how to do it, by the way. That's a rhetorical question, and I can go deeper based on which direction it goes. But good point, Divya, which is, when do you stop though? The answer is you do not stop. The answer is all stops are temporary, right? What do I mean by that? I mean, to give a personal example, about a year ago, 2 years ago, I took a break. I took not a kind of sabbatical kind of thing, but it kind of became a mental health thing or whatever. Let me just say I took a huge break, okay? And it nearly cost me my business. But here's the thing that I realized. I was in that sabbatical and I was like, when does this end? I loved it. I had a great fun chilling, doing whatever I wanted, right? Just focusing on living a great life. Going off of my savings, coasting. It was great. No anxiety. Later anxiety for something else. But when does it stop? It doesn't stop. Because every stop is temporary. Even I'm in that sabbatical and I realize I can't do this forever. And, the similarity there is, even when I was in a job, like deep into the sabbatical, I'm like, I can't do this forever. But then deep into a design job as well, I was like, I can't do this forever. Deep into anything, you have that thought, which is, I can't do this forever. So most breaks are temporary breaks. There is no such thing as a permanent break. All stops are temporary stops to refuel for the next stage of the journey. And you actually pretty much never stop. You stop when you choose to stop, or you're forced to stop. Choose to stop is, fire, financial, retire early. Fuck that. Or like, choose to stop, like, I'm happy with what I have. That's a very gracious exit, right? That's a good one. Choose to stop. Forced to stop. Bro, you went to jail, bro. You fucking got caught up in some bad shit and now you are stuck. You have a permanent record against your name. Nobody wants to hire you. You literally had a bodily injury, or you literally, or time runs out, done, over. Thank you for playing. You're forced to stop. So you don't actually ever stop. And if that is true, how do you own it? How do you own it? And here's the thing. Even if you're doing something that you love, bro, love, you will still reach a point where you say, I cannot keep doing this. Not because you don't like it, because you're like, is this all there is? If I like it so much, why don't I do something bigger? If I like it so much, okay, I'm going to immerse myself, right? I'm not going to think about this. I'm going to go hard at my job. But 6 months later, a year later, it pops up again, right? You're like, I can't keep doing this forever. Here's a very interesting mental framework, right? When I was at Unacademy, this is something Gaurav told me directly, Gaurav Munjal. He was like, if you're not thinking of quitting every 6 months, you might not be going at it hard enough. And a lot of people will hear a different person in the scenario will be like, bro, what the fuck? How can you tell me this toxic work culture? Bullshit, bro. Gaurav knows the game he is playing. He is a goddamn elite level athlete. So when I listen to him, I'm like, yeah, you're right. All the times I wanted to stop playing in the past, it was not because the thing I was doing was wrong. I was having fun also. But then I was like, I don't think I can do this forever. And that's not a bad thing. But here's the thing. There is nothing you can do forever. You just have to snowball your way into a bigger thing with better people into a higher impact. That's it. That's how simple things are. All the while, making sure you have a good life, you treat people well, and people say thank you for existing. That's all you can hope for. And marriage is one. Get married. अच्छा IAS की तैयारी कर ले. That's another one. But it's like, अच्छा US चले जा, Canada चले जा, पढ़ाई करने. No, I'm not saying they're wrong, bro. Your life, do it. But those are standard paths, which means they're available to everyone, which means you're not really going down. You have to still find your alpha. You have to still come out ahead somehow. Standard path, only thing it guarantees you is that you're on the path. But what comes out of it is still on you. Thank you, Mama. Thank you. Renu is my mom, yeah. Thank you a lot, Mama. You really, you've done a good job. Why is this the last Wednesday stream? It's the last Wednesday stream because next Wednesday onwards, this exact time slot, I'm going to be teaching. I'm going to be teaching cohort 7. Our core slots Wednesday and Saturday, but we have an additional slot for cohort 7, which is Fridays. We have every single Friday, we're going to have something interesting. Those of you who are enrolled, as well as the alumni here, I'll share that with you in the right channels. But this is the last Wednesday stream because the next 12 to 16 Wednesdays, I'm occupied. Will I stop streaming? I won't stop streaming. I might stop streaming temporarily, but I think I might come back to it. I think I might come back. Let's see. There's Coke on my table. No, there's no Coke on my table, guys. It's just this Pepsi Max and this Pepsi Max. Okay, guys. Let's go deeper. Plan to start a design agency, but think there's a lot of saturation in the market for it. Aditya, I'm going to give you a quick answer, okay? And I'm going to tie it to the topic that we were discussing. Floor and ceiling. Floor You want a floor agency. That's the first thing you want to do, which is you want an agency that actually delivers value for clients. Your first job is make sure you are above floor for your agency. What do I mean by that? You have clients, past clients, you can say I created value for them. Present clients, lead flow. People are signing up every week. You're having discovery calls, etc. with them. Your current enrolled clients, you're doing work for them. You have maybe people that you've hired, and don't run out of money, right? This is floor base level. So saturation in the market, there's no saturation in the market. Saturated in the market, you're assuming that the solutions that exist are perfect. You're assuming every agency out there is perfect. It's a lot of shitty agencies that are the only option. And so that's why companies choose them. Not all, a lot of them are great, but even the great companies, the great agencies cannot work with everyone. They can only work with the best clients who pay the most. So there is never saturation in markets like this, because you can always provide better solutions. You can always provide better customer service. But the way to go about it is figure out your floor first. Just don't die. Reach a point where you are stable and healthy. Then figure out what is your game to go to ceiling. How do you become the best in the world at it, right? Take it slow. The point also that I will make here is I know the standard startup route is hyperscale, VC and all of that stuff, but that's not the only path. And, I would like to believe I'm a good example of that. Right? We've not raised any money for 10K designers, although temptations were high. Although, nothing wrong with it. Maybe at some point in the future, we consider it if it makes sense for our future goals. But that's my suggestion, bro. Definitely do it. Definitely do it. What would you rather do? What's your other option, bro? What's the other option? You're going to work in a job? Nothing wrong with that. Do it, right? As long as your skills are improving, you can do this later also. You can do this now. But yes, it'll be valuable. Bro, there is never a shortage for good people. The question is, how do you become good? And not give up. And not like fall for the shiny thing and resetting yourself every single time. There is never a shortage of good people, bro. Of course it would be. Play your game right, though. What do you think about Design Joy business model? Yeah, it's a good one. Personally, not tried it, so I can't say with full confidence. But it seems to be working. And in general, the trend is you're productizing it, right? Design, if I'm hiring a designer full-time at a company, the assumption is that there's a lot of custom work that needed. This person needs to go deep and be fully involved with everything that's happening in a company. When I hire externally a freelancer, it's usually because I can separate something out and give it to them. So they don't need to have the whole context. They can just work on that project. The Design Joy business model, which is saying I will charge you 2,000 rupees, $2,000 upwards a month for unlimited design work. What you're basically doing is you're saying you have the stability of this side, which is almost like full-time. But it's not fully freelance because I have processes. For me to be able to say yes to unlimited design requests within a 24-hour window, 48-hour window, means my personal productivity shit, my team is sorted. So that gives you the confidence to say you can get the same results as somebody full-time. India mein chalega ya nahi, pata nahi, but don't target India. What's the point, right? Work globally from day one. Work to be the best from day one. It's fun, right? It can work though. No experience running it though. So I would be, I'm going to wait a couple of years, because I'm pretty sure from 10K designers, a lot of you are going to experiment with that model. If it works, why wouldn't you, right? And does it work? If it doesn't, it will shut down and we'll stop talking about it. But if it does work, I know a lot of you are going to try it, and that's how I'm going to learn whether it's a good model or not. So if any of you here from our alumni, from our cohorts, considering doing that, go all in. I'm here to help you. I'll help you sort out. I'll be your coach on the side, whatever. My vested interest is I want to see if that works. I get some data out of it. But yeah, do it. I think it does work. Running agency is amazing. People are always building. And I'll tell you what, right? Don't think of it as an agency. Think of it as a squad. What you want to do is you want to quickly make enough money to be able to hire people. Right? That's my personal opinion, right? Not for everybody, but my personal opinion. You want to quickly get to a stable point where you can start hiring. Because once you have a team, once you have 2-3 people even just 2, 3 people, you're paying them salaries, you're doing work. If you're good, if you guys are good as a team, you cannot do bad work. Simple fact. If you're good as a team, you're going to challenge each other to do better. And what that means is, even if agency is the thing that you start with, doing client projects, if as a good team, along the path, as you start making more money, if you realize I can do something else, you will naturally switch to that something else. As a team, you will then say, okay, let's actually do our own product. Let's keep agency as a small part, and let's also do these new experiments in AI or Web3, whatever. You might explore consulting, you might explore different models. But in general, I'm not going to go that deep into it. Your call, bro. You can definitely do it. Life as a designer versus now 10K designers, how life has changed. Designers, you can give your answer, bro. My answer, life is a lot better, bro, after 10K designers. Before 10K designers, I was an individual designer. It was me and my team. We were doing amazing work. Unacademy built the live learning, whatever. I did some of my best work at Unacademy. Really good. I cherish that part of my that duration of my life. But post 10K designers, bro, like for me to literally be a part of these many people's journeys was intimidating as first, because I was kind of feeling the pressure. But now I'm at a place where I'm like, yes, I'm committed to this. I'm all in. Your success is my success, and that's why we're going to win, because we are aligned. There is no way we don't come out of this as winners. There's no way we don't come out of this as the best design learning education, the best place to meet other designers, the best content, and the best design education content, and working at the best companies. There's no way we don't do this if we're aligned. So it's amazing, bro. I love it. I just can't go back to a job. Not to say that I never will. It's just I love my game right now, and I'm figuring out what's next. And of course, if you're a part of 10K designers, you'll be the first to know. FigJam file which had those references, yes, Sanjana, we will share it. We're going to share it with the video though. So that video is still dropping this week. And in that video, there's going to be a QR code where you can scan it. You will get access to it. But yeah, we'll share that with you. The reason we've not shared it yet is we have a proper video coming out on it, which is a condensed version of roadmap for spatial UX designers. Kaise bane spatial UX designers, spatial augmented reality apps kaise banaye. Right? Full roadmap type vibes. We want to make the video for anybody who looks up spatial UX design, right? And that means we have to really make this. The thing with videos, just like products, you have to really think about details, think about this, think about the user, think about metrics. But unlike products, once a video is out, it's out. You can't change it. So we're working really hard on that. We're working on it with the same level of detail, attention, and care that designers would on products. Video design. So next Wednesday, no, we'll drop it this week. We'll drop the video this week. Cool, guys. I'm going to wrap up in a while. I'm going to wrap up in another couple of minutes. But yeah. The OG roadmap video is how I got introduced. Amazing, Hari. Keep going. Keep going. So, for the next couple of weeks, I will, of course, see you guys on YouTube for sure, right? You can expect regular content from us on YouTube. You can expect regular we want to be the place in your life where you can come and you know that we're going to talk about design. We want to be that in place in your life where you're like, even if I'm finding it too hard to create time in my life to go all in on design. This is assuming you're not already a designer. But even if you're already a designer, we want we want to be the destination for design stuff, right? So we're going to invest a lot over the next couple of years, even next couple of weeks and months into YouTube, right? We're going to keep growing that. Although I'm not really interested at this moment, I'm not really interested in the whole subscribers thing. So whatever. Additionally, we are also hiring for full-time roles at 10K Designers. There's a few key roles that we're hiring for. These first 6 cohorts, the whole purpose of these first 6 cohorts was, number one, to create a model that actually works. I don't want to have the insecurity कि bro मैं marketing से बेच तो रहा हूँ but मेरा product चल नहीं रहा. Fuck that, right? So number one, we want to create something that actually works. And 6 cohorts in, every single cohort has worked. And we found out exactly how to make it so, how to make it repeatable. Number two, we now have a network, right? Network effects, a cohort, a community is more valuable the more connections there are. When you imagine a network, there is depth of connections and there is width of connections. 3 years, we've built that really good. But now we're getting ready for the next 3 years of 10K Designers. And the next 3 years of 10K Designers are going to be us going even harder on our core while setting us up to bring value to you. The nice thing about being in a small company, and when I say small, I mean I don't have hundreds of thousands of users I need to care about, right? When I was working at Unacademy, yeah, we were designing all this amazing stuff, but it was being used by millions of people. And so I am not going to keep track of who's using it, right? Anyway, point I'm trying to make is the good thing about working on something like 10K Designers, which is kind of small, is I can literally care about every single person. Every single cohort member has DM access to me. So, which means we're really aligned. And so I take that shit very seriously. And I'm very excited for that next stage because we are now finally growing our team. Till last year, I was the only person full-time on 10K Designers, working with freelancers, contract. But now we have a core team and we're growing it this year. Thank you, Hari. Thank you for that. Keep going. It's only the start. Please answer my questions, Abhinav. In design, how much percentage goes into making things look beautiful and how much percentage goes into problem solving? The simple answer, Karthik, simple to remember. Half of your design process is figuring out what's the right problem to solve. The other half of your design process is figuring out how to solve the problem right. Right problem to solve the problem right. So from that framework, the answer to your question becomes, you can't always say percentage. It's different for every project. But a very important part of the design process is making sure you're solving the right problem, which is why if the first thing you do is open Figma and create a frame and start designing, you've already lost. Right? So to answer that question, the answer, both are important parts. You cannot ignore either. There's no fixed percentage, but solve the right problem. Once you find the right problem to solve, once you figure that out, solve the problem right. Okay, guys. Thanks a lot. I'm gonna drop off now. This was a great stream. Very excited. Very glad I got to share this moment in space and time with you guys. Very excited that I got to spend this time with you guys today, talking about all this stuff. And I will see you somewhere else on the internet, within the cohorts, or maybe even IRL. Stay tuned. Have a good day. Have a good week ahead. Bye-bye.